In this video, we are going to install Active Directory instance. Before we do it, let's decide the name of domain. Right, so page.cloud is the domain name. And then also just set the name of Active Directory. In my case, devdcen001 and the plus domain name. This is the name of domain controller. So let's create a security group for domain controller. To do this, go to the EC2 page and then go to the security group. Right, so we are going to create a new security group. Let's set the name of it. Right, and then set the description. Okay, let's select the VPC. Make sure you select the right VPC. It's not the default one. Right. Now we are going to set the port number in the inbound rule to be open. To do this, we need to know the port number for the domain controller. When we go to the website, we can see the list of port number for the domain controller. There are lots of ports we need to be open. We can actually type manually into the inbound rule, but this is not easy. There's some risk to make mistake. Instead of manually input the port number, we are going to use the command line tool to input all the information in one go. So let's do that. Let's go back to the security group and then create this security group anyway. Right, so now we have a security group and then go back to the list here. Right, so you can see the security group has been created here. Alright, so let's open the security group. And then we are going to run this command. So you can see the group ID, which is this. This is a security group ID. You can see the same ID here. And then type of the protocol, which is UDP or TCP, and the port number to be open. And the CIDR address. So copy this command, and then we are going to run from the machine. Right, so we are going to paste the command and then hit enter. Okay, it seems to be done. So let's go back to the security group page and then refresh. Right, so you can see all the port number are registered to this security group. So now we are going to create the domain controller. So let's go to the EC2 instance page and then launch instance. So set the name in the tag. Right. So and then select the Windows. And I keep it as a Windows Server 2022. And then instance type is a T2 micro is okay for now. And then select the key pair. Okay. So let's go set up the network. So make sure you select the right VPC. Right. So this time, let's go back to the network diagram. We are going to install this domain controller in private B subnet. Let's select the private B, right? So which is this. Okay. And then this is a private subnet. So we are not going to assign the public ID. So just keep it disabled. Right. So the security group, select the existing one. And then the first of all, we select the remote access security group, which is this one. Right. And then one more thing is security group for domain controller, which we just created in the previous step. All right. So in total, we select two security group, which is one is for domain controller, the other one is for the remote access. All right. So in the advanced configuration, we are going to set a private IP address. So this CIDR range is 10.0.50, right? So we are trying to set a good number. In my case, I select 10. So 10.0.50.10 for the domain controller. Alright, so and then in the storage setting, I'm going to select the GP3 this time. The reason is just though I found this article. So based on this article, in the GP3, we can save the 20% cost compared to the GP2. Even the smaller value, it's a high performance and the cheaper cost. Right, so that's the reason we select the GP3 and then click launch instance. And then wait until the EC2 instance is ready to log in. Alright, so now the status of this EC2 instance is running. So let's connect to this EC2 instance. To do this, click connect, right? And then get the password. Simply paste the key. And then now we get the password. And then now you can see this IP address is private IP address. So let's go back to the network diagram. So this is my machine. So my machine cannot access to this EC2 instance because this EC2 instance has only private IP address. So this private IP address is not exposed to the internet. So in order to remote log in to this machine, first we need to log in to the public EC2 instance in the same VPC. Then we can log in to the private EC2 instance. So that's the way we are going to access to this machine. So let's do this. Right, so this is the EC2 instance in public subnet. So you can see the public IP address here. So I'm going to open the remote desktop and then remote access to 10.0.50.10. Right, so username is administrator. Right, so let's get the password. So grab this password. Right. We successfully log into this EC2 instance. So you can see the IP address here, only private IP address. It's no public IP address. First of all, we are going to set the time zone. Right, so in my case, right, so I'm in Sydney, Australia, so select this. Right, so next thing is we are going to set the host name. Right, so rename this computer. So name will be, so in my case, DC EN001. So go next. And then start to apply this change. Alright, so after 2 minutes, let's connect to this machine again. Alright, so password. So after that, you can see the host name has been changed. Also, time zone has been changed to Sydney now. Okay, so now we are going to install Active Directory. So to open the server manager first. Alright, so click Add Role and Feature. And click Next. This one will go Next. This one also, no, you can see the host name and the IP address, and then just go Next. So this is important. We make sure we select the Active Directory domain service, right? And then click Add Feature button. Now we can see the Active Directory domain service has been checked, right? So go Next. This one we don't change anything, just go Next, and then click Next. This one is click Install. So now it's installing the Active Directory service. Okay, so Active Directory has been installed. So let's click Close. Now you can see this arrow icon. So click on that. Now we can see this link. promote this server to the domain controller. So let's click on that. So from now on, we are going to configure our domain controller. So this time, we are going to create a new domain. So just select the third one, add the new forest. And then type the domain name, which is page cloud. My domain name is a veggie.cloud. And then go next. Let's set the password for restore mode. Alright, so click next. This is a DNS option. Actually, this domain controller is a primary domain controller. It's not going to delegate anything. So let's click next. So this is NetBIOS domain. I don't mind, just keep it as it is. Just click next. Right, so don't change anything, just click next. So this is a review. No worry about it, just click next. Right, so we got some messages, but it's all about warning message. Actually, all the prerequisite is passed successfully. So let's click install. The installation has been done. The system is automatically restarting. After a minute or two, let's remote log into this machine. So click connect. And then this time, let's click more option because this is a domain machine now. So I'm going to select use a different account this time. So I set the domain name first, veggie/administrator. And then paste the password, which is the same password we grab from here. Right? And then click OK. I'm going to check the status from PowerShell command. Right, so first, who am I? So you can see the domain name, the veggie/administrator. But also we can check the detail by get AD domain command. Just hit enter. Right, so this is the detail of the domain. So now you can see the domain name here, also SID of the domain and the forest ID. Right, so now we successfully set up the domain controller.